Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian Farmer at Tribeca Trade Group, and this is your end of day market recap for Monday, November 11th. It is Veterans Day, bond market close. Thank you to all the veterans out there. Happy Veterans Day to all. It's also my dad's birthday. He passed away I think about a year and a half ago at this point, and his birthday was always on Veterans Day. So I always think about my dad on Veterans Day. Let's get to the price action for the day. What can you say? I mean, like I've been using this word a lot, and I hate to like use the same words over and over, but is this the best way to kind of describe this market right now? And it's a momentum type market. Before we even get to today's price action, take a look at where we are for some of these numbers just month to date, right? And of course, we started the month. And it wasn't a rocket ship. It was basically just since Wednesday at this point, things have really advanced. But IWM is up 11% at this point. I'm going to spend some time going over IWM and maybe a little bit of the micro caps as well because they're outperforming. I don't have them on my spreadsheet, but look at the ARK Innovation ETF and look at the IBD 50. And again, that should tell you like what kind of market that we're in right now. 26%, and it's this ETF is coming back quickly. It's not my favorite ETF because I don't really like the way that they trade. I don't like the way that they classify some names too as innovation, and I don't really find some of the names that's in their basket as innovative. But so I'm not going to dwell there, but it just shows you, what things that we do know about that basket is probably there's a lot of high short interest names because a lot of those names were kind of stagnant for a long time. So, it kind of creates like Tinder, almost when you've got short covering going on and you've got FOMO on the tape as well. So it really kind of creates an interesting dynamic, and that's up 26%. And I'm sure most of those gains happening just over the last couple of days. Value versus growth. Growth has been outperforming up 6.7%. Small cap growth has been outperforming small cap value. TLT is just down slightly for the month at this point, and the dollar has been up 1.7%. So let's now that that's it's just interesting to kind of go over these numbers at this point and where we are. And by the way, like look at the ARK. So look at the ARK Innovation ETF is only up to after the 26% gain is still only is I believe, and I'll double check my spreadsheet, but it's only up 10% for the year. Goodness. And IWM has been catching up, is up 20%, and SPY's up 26%. Okay, so again, just looking at those numbers makes it very interesting to me. But the breadth was decent today, but again, 62% upside day, but most of that because of the small caps, right? When normally you see the small caps leading, you're normally going to see strong breadth. So if you look at these charts, so today was not a day for SPY and the Qs. I mean, they didn't really, it was very, very quiet for those days, right? And, that's fine because we're not forced to just look at those. And, it's one of my favorite markets, obviously, when we've got this type of momentum in this market, that's definitely one of my favorite markets. But it's also when we see this type of rotation where, you know, the small caps didn't do anything Thursday and Friday. Now they had a humongous gap up. I think they gapped up around 5% Wednesday pre-market and had a huge day on Wednesday, but they didn't really do much on Thursday and Friday. So let's just go to the charts really quick. So you could kind of see there's a doji for today. This is the S&P futures chart, and you basically have like a doji type candle for today. So the things that when I look at this chart, I try to just put things in perspective because we are overbought here. We are also in the strongest period of the year. November and December are strong months, but that doesn't mean that we're guaranteed to just keep going up in a straight line like this. We've already fulfilled that's why I kind of looked at this month to date performance. This is now greater than what we normally get for the month of November, and we're not even halfway through the month. So that strong seasonality, check. That's already lived up to the hype. And even if we come down a few percent from here, right, it would still check the box of being a very, a strong November in terms of the performance that we've gotten already. So why do I bring this up? Just so that you can kind of like try to put things in perspective, right? When we see stocks go up 20, 30% in a few days, right? Our heads blow up, in terms of, people are getting cocky, and that's just the nature of market and the market. And, as much as Jim Cramer gets a hard time, I don't know if he came up with this saying, but it makes me think of days. The expression makes me think of, um, this types of price action. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So it's important to realize. Somebody said to me too, because I mentioned in my longer term portfolio on Friday, the TTG trend portfolio where I'm following longer term trends, that I sold App 11. And they're like, well, why'd you sell it? I'm like, because of that expression, right? It's, you can only things aren't going to go up in a straight line forever. Now, this made a huge recovery, by the way. It's only down 1% for the day. So again, it just shows you what that people are taking advantage of any dip. And I think also, I've talked about this now a number of times, but I do think that a lot of fund managers have not positioned correctly for some of these moves, and that's why you're seeing such a market reaction to this last week. And I think if we do get some whatever, a check back or some type of a dip, I think it will be, my opinion is that it will be pretty short-lived, because I think there's probably still some funds that want to get involved in this market. So, speaking of which, what do we have on tap for this week? So tomorrow's the 12th. We get small. Today we didn't get any economics because it's a bond holiday today. But tomorrow we get small business optimism. We'll get CPI and PPI Wednesday and Thursday. And just a reminder, we get its monthly options expiration. And normally we see some type of volatility like one day of the week when you have monthly options expiration. So again, don't get over the tips of your skis with, in my opinion, how you're trading and how you're taking profits and all of that. So Qs, I spent a lot of time. We haven't even gotten to the Qs yet, but you know, Qs explored like a bit of a lower level, and this could be what we get for some of the market action, right? Like profit taking in a little bit at the beginning of the day. We tried to rally and couldn't get through the top of the value area. Tried here again at 1125, and then broke lower, and then managed to come right back. So, fine for that. I do think what's going on here, by the way, when you look at the Qs and you look at the performance, like, obviously this was very similar. Even it was even more lopsided on Friday, when I think it was Tesla was the only one that was up. Maybe there was one other name that was up out of this mega cap group. I call them the Great Eight. But Tesla is the big outperformer. But you're not seeing much else out of this group because there's rotation, right? There's rotation out of things like Apple, right? Because these sometimes act as safety plays, right? People like to go into like an Apple when they're fearful about the overall environment. Apple has such a big cushion. They don't have any major debt issues. They refinanced all their debt, right? They're in a very good capital structure position. But when the market gets a little bit, when there's more animal spirits that are taking place, there's going to be, a shift out of some of these names and a shift into riskier areas of the market. And that's my explanation for why the Qs might kind of consolidate a little bit. Now, here was the big mover today. So IWM. So again, take a look at what has transpired this week. You had this big gap up that I mentioned, right? Then inside day, well, I guess that's maybe not an inside day considering this candle, but digestion again. That VPOC was taken out, and bam, you get right through it, and it moving to highs. I don't know if does that give us all time? No, not all-time highs, but close. We're very close to that. And then also IWC, I mentioned I would look at this chart too because this is micro caps. And this did take an upside VPOC, but notice that right here, I mentioned the VPOCs because it does become a battle of overhead supply and new buyers. In a lot of charts, new buyers are winning out over the overhead supply. So IWC, right, has been underperforming even more so than IWM. But you look at the weekly chart of IWC, and we're not even. So I mean, this isn't. I shouldn't say we're not even close. We're about 5 cents away, to this range of where we were back in what 2021, I think that was before, and then we obviously 2022 was a bad year. So this is a story with a lot of stocks. They haven't even returned, especially on the smaller micro cap areas, that they haven't even returned back to those highs yet, those previous highs. So it's just kind of amazing to me when you think about this. Yes, this look at the VPOC takeout, by the way, on the weekly. So again, that's why I pay attention to these. The Virgin point of controls. There's a good example of one being taken out, and it looks like head and shoulders with multiple shoulders going on here and breaking higher. So that was a big story, that's one of the stories in terms of the indices. Big stories that are happening are in terms of Tesla. Just amazing to see this break higher like this. I think there was a 1 hour VPOC. I mean, there's so much stuff going on here in this chart, but it's still in good shape. And 364 is I think that's the last VPOC over here. I don't think there are any more after that. Yeah, you just have one more 1 hour VPOC, and then that's it. And then this is again not even at the new highs yet, but has certainly made a big move from where it was just a couple months ago. So that's Tesla. Bitcoin has been the big story too. I mean, so there's like three or four big stories going on. Bitcoin closed on the absolute highs, and again, this chart when you look at the weekly chart, we've been talking about this. It just finally getting out of this channel, I think was very important for Bitcoin. Nice little, we talked about here a higher low in here, and this is moving higher. And I've been long, I got long IBIT, so I'm taking profits as we go up. Some people are doing really good where they're not taking. I've seen people say, "Hey, I haven't even taken a target in this yet." Give people a lot of credit for doing that. That's very aggressive. That's a lot of conviction to watch moves like this and not take any targets. I tend to take targets on the way up, and then I try to ride the last position. Some of which sometimes you run out of bullets too. I did that in Tesla. I did get out of Tesla today. I just didn't have enough of a position, and I feel like something up 9%. I just kind of feel stupid not to not be taking a profit target. But this is my trading account and my long-term trend account. I still have Tesla in there, so I'm not taking that out. Just in my trading account where I hold a little bit bigger positions. MSTR is phenomenal. It's two. Congrats if you're catching some of these moves of 25%. I mean, I just got long this name last week. Again, I've been in and out of this name, but I got long again last week and just really getting rewarded. So let's go back a little bit. Again, everybody can talk about their winners, I think, at this point for a while. I thought that we might see, like my thought today was maybe we see the financials get going again. And we did, up 1.4%. Right. Again, I just think that this is such a nice trend and, less regulation. How many of these M&A deals have been shot down? And I think that makes companies say, hey, maybe if we decide to acquire a company, maybe it might have a better chance of going through than than what we've seen over the last 4 years. So, you have to remember that these companies pay a lot in terms of fees, like M&A fees. So the fact that, there might be like less regulation and a chance for more deals to go through, companies are obviously know that. They know that they calculate what they think the chance of a deal might go through. And I think that's very good for companies like Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs. Um, I got long some Schwab today, right? So I still think that you're going to see, rotation into some areas. And Schwab had a great day today. And I think like the brokers will do well, right? Obviously, this has gotten more people excited just in a very small amount of time about the market, and they're trading more. So Schwab, IBKR, which didn't have a great earnings reaction, remember that? Not probably most don't. Here is the earnings reaction. Look at this thing out to new highs. Hood making new highs as well today too. So not all-time highs, but new highs for the year. So that's another strong group. But again, think about the logic being played out here. Like to me, more people trading and these stocks, should do well. What else did I look at today? I bought some wicks today. Right. Again, this was a name that we mentioned in the trading room. Just the chart pattern looks too pretty. Right. Here's what this looks like. And when you look at these weekly charts, right, and kind of zoom out a little bit, right, I mean, this is a real nice, again, this is not a name that's even close at this point to back to where these highs, these previous highs are. And I like this movement here. Now this will have earnings, I think, in a couple weeks on the 20th, but I think that the chart pattern looks really good. GoDaddy too had a nice day, just sticking with that space there a little bit. I mean, that name has been the leader in the group, very, very strong. Look at that. I mean, just it just is still going here. So again, that's entices me looking at that chart. Wix does something similar. So let me get to Upstart so Upstart took out this VPOC. This is another one that I sold. Now, I like this chart. I just see the VPOC being taken out, and that was my upside target. I had owned this name prior to earnings. I kept a small piece on, and then on earnings day, I just thought because of the short interest that it would catch. And it certainly did, but enough is enough. Like I took targets in this thing, which for now was the right thing to do. But it could very easily get above today's high, the way that this market is moving. But I set an alert. Another thing why I got out of Upstart today, because I know I get questions on this stuff, is when you look at the daily chart here, notice the last two VPOCs that were taken out. What do you see? Right? Overhead supply went out, right? And again, the stock ended up higher, but hey, I would like if it comes back in, I'll get back involved in this name, no problem. Right. So this retraced, rallied all the way up to $40, retraced back to the 50-day moving average down to 33, rallied back up very nicely, took out a VPOC up here at 54, 55, settled back into about the 20-day moving average 48. So if we kind of come in halfway between, it was very extended here. I would get back involved in this name because they had good earnings. There's probably still going to be some short interest in there, and instead I switched over to Affirm today, which Affirm had weird price action on Friday, and I wasn't really sure what to think of it. But look at it go today, and so I did get involved in this one. I did take a target at this VPOC. I hate that there's a VPOC right here, but after I think I took two targets in this today. I'll bring up my trade blotter. Yeah, I took two targets. I mean, $5 up, from getting it. And this name was already up, once the open started. But I had my eye on it and executed. Again, like I did not take a big position here. You could see I even just said starter position, right? I don't like to take big positions in the first half hour of the day. Everybody's different. I know that has worked recently, but I'm following my rules. And yeah, I would have liked to, you know, I would have liked to get a bigger position because I like the name, but this is also a name that I own in the TTG trend portfolio as well. So that's kind of how this market is moving for now. It probably set my stop somewhere back around this top of the candle. And go from there. Our watch list, I really didn't put a lot of names on the watch list because I just thought that there's a lot of extended names. Like these names are great to watch, right? But you could see that I kind of categorized them a little bit different. I think Docs had a nice move, follow through move, RKLB, but there's some of them that are going to check back, and it's tough at this point to get involved in some of these names. But I want to monitor them. Yeah, 20% today was that was from the open in Affirm, up 23% for the day. Really nice performance for the day. So that's it, guys. I'll leave it for today. But it's really I hope it can continue. Even if the Qs or maybe tomorrow IWM goes flat and the Qs outperform. Like I love that type of a market. I do think that we're overbought. So I also think realistically having the moving averages kind of catch up a little bit, like the 5-day moving average catch up with the price action. That would make sense to me too. So, stay on your toes here. Don't get cocky and greedy and all of that stuff. Guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.